Chargers get the win.
Chargers get the win.
Just kidding. The Cowboys get the win. Thank you for joining us for Instant Reactions. The Dallas Cowboys squared off against somebody that they used to know pretty good, Kellen Moore, in a revenge game. Very good. But Mike McCarthy, his whole thing was he had to energize an offense that scored a season-low 10 points last week. I thought they came out with good energy. I think maybe the Kellen Moore thing gave them that little bit of juice that they needed. And I thought we had a good football team, but this isn't a game where you feel, because no one was dominated. I'm not really changing my opinion on either of these teams, but I do know that you thought the Cowboys may be the fourth or fifth best team in the NFC because they got blown out. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe for people that were Cowboy skeptics, this was something that they needed to see.
I agree that this is something I needed to see out of the Cowboys because Dak Prescott had a really good game, man. He had about, I think it was like 270 yards passing. He had was a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown. He was still the leading rusher in this game with 40 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. Like if you had Dak on your fantasy league, I think he gave you some good points here. He still got sacked 5 times, which is a testament. I don't think it's necessarily on the offensive line, although they have struggled the last 2 games against 2 really good defenses. But I think this is more to say about the Chargers defense. We talked about it during the stream. 20 sacks in the last 4 games for this defense with Khalil Mack, Bosa, a couple other guys. I can't remember their names right now. So this is a very good defensive front for the Chargers, and they made Dak pay. You know, when he was holding on to the ball a little too long, and even got a lot of pressure on him, made him make some bad decisions, running the ball, kind of throwing the ball for incompletes. So the defense for the Chargers did really well. Unfortunately, at the end there, Herbert with an interception to seal the win for the Cowboys after the Cowboys marched down the field, got that last drive of a field goal. Good for the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't know if it's like, you know, like they are probably still, to me, probably 4th or 5th best team in the NFC.
Really? 4th or 5th?
Yeah. There's a lot of good teams in the NFC, though, so I will leave it at that.
All right, and then when it comes to the running game, like you mentioned, Austin Eckler coming back, not really the kind of game you want to have. I mean, I don't want to say it was bad or anything. It was just there was something lacking. You know what I mean? It was really hard to run against the Cowboys, and like you said, you got to credit the run defense for the Dallas Cowboys. But another thing you have to credit is the fact that the when it comes to the Chargers, they were not able to protect Micah Parsons and this pass rush for the Dallas Cowboys at all. And that
Yeah.
actually is what ultimately sealed the game. That's why when I said A, B, C, A, A, the first thing that came to mind, 4-and-out,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just kind of how this defense, they're in a passing situation and they haven't been able to give Herbert the time he's needed to go through progressions. So if he takes a sack, now all of a sudden it's second or third and long. And that's kind of what happened there. What do you think about how the pass rush played into the game?
They were getting it at Justin not all night. They were pressuring him a lot. They did have that. They did only have that one sack there at the end of the game to basically say, "Hey, we're not going to just give up. We're not going to roll over. This isn't the 49ers game anymore." Micah Parsons was there for that. But they were pressuring Justin Herbert a lot and pressuring him to a lot of throws that he was just not able to make or complete there. And you saw that earlier in the game, too. He was overthrowing Keenan Allen, and you called it too, or I'm sorry, you said it just now, too, with Eckler not able to get shit done on the ground. This was literally the Herbert show, and if it wasn't for Herbert, this probably wouldn't even be a game right now. But I will give the Dallas Cowboys a lot of credit there, especially at the end of the game. They got to Herbert exactly when they needed to. Stephon Gilmore, after a third quarter or a fourth quarter penalty of holding or pass interference, whichever one it may be, that led to a score for them to tie it for the Chargers. He stepped up, got the interception when he needed it, and that's how they sealed it, man. So Justin Herbert, if it wasn't for Herbert, man, this Chargers team would probably just have like 6-7 points on the board. That's it.
Yeah, and the whole thing I said about Austin Eckler and CeeDee Lamb both not getting a touchdown, don't get it twisted. CeeDee Lamb was a factor today. He was over 100 yards receiving. It's hard sometimes to get a touchdown every week, but you got to think, okay, so this Dallas defense, what did they prove? That they can get after the passer, the quarterback, and they can stop the run. And then offensively, I think they proved that they have one of the best receivers in the NFL in CeeDee Lamb. If a bad day at the office is 117 yards, and it still didn't feel like there was something left to be desired in
Yeah.
Dallas's offense. And where that comes from, I believe, is from delivering in previous weeks and scoring 40. So I do think when you look at all of that, is that not a complete football team? Like, I get it. They got destroyed by the 49ers. Okay.
Yeah.
They had a measuring stick game and they just basically aren't even on the measuring stick. So, but at the end of the day, it could just be that they played their worst game of the season. I mean,
Yeah.
when you look at the 49ers in that game, when they scored right away, Dallas got the ball back, and on 1st and 10, they threw it to Tony Pollard, and it was 1st and 10. He got 13 yards, but when he got tackled, he fumbled the ball, and San Francisco picked it up. That was a turning point in a momentum shift. They were in San Francisco. I believe they were in San Francisco.
I think they were in Dallas.
Were they in Dallas?
Can't remember. Honestly, can't remember.
But regardless, it changed the whole game. So I do think about those things like, yeah, the ball just bounced the 49ers way a lot in that game. Like the fact that fumble didn't go out of bounds. So when you have a game that, one team, has the ball bounce their way more than the other and they have a better game plan, like you can get a blowout, but it may not be it may be misleading. I would bet anything that if these two teams played again, that it would be very close. It wouldn't be a blowout. And that's kind of how I feel about the Cowboys, to be, totally honest about it.
Okay, I mean, I can agree that if they play again, it'll probably be a closer game for sure. And what I will say about the Cowboys too in this game, they had just under 100 yards rushing as a team. I think it was, and you put the stat up there, 272 yards for Dak. Dak got sacked 5 times. You got to remember this, right? And they have Tony Pollard, a very capable running back. Dak was still somehow the leading rusher, but McCarthy, you got to give McCarthy in this offense, and especially Dak, credit, because even after all the pressure, even after all the sacks, he still went out there and won that game for the Dallas Cowboys. He got them down. He said, "You know what? I mean, I know there's a lot of pressure, but I know I can escape." We saw him there in the fourth quarter, especially escape to the right, escape to the left, move up the middle, get up to at least a line of scrimmage on a scramble minimum, right? Like, at least he's not getting negative yardage. Give him credit for continuously like sticking to the pass there at the end, because at the end, that's exactly what won them the game. That's what got them into field goal range. He almost had a touchdown there to Tony Pollard. Just kind of threw the ball a little bit badly. You know, you can kind of get away with those with a win, which they got. But credit to McCarthy and Dak Prescott for continuously passing the ball, not succumbing to that defense and being like, all right, well, you beat us in the passing game, so I guess we're just going to run all day. No, they said, we're going to beat you in the pass, and it's exactly what they did.
Yeah, and I think moving forward from here, I think the Cowboys going into the bye week are going to get some rest and prepare for, you know, kicking ass in this second half and coming out there and being like, hey, we're the best team in the NFL, and we're gonna try to prove it. And in a scenario where Dallas wins the next 10 games in a row, everybody, you know, there would be a large majority of people that do think Dallas may compete for a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's one game, and I think getting a win going into the bye week, like, this changes everything. Like, if you lose like that to the 49ers and then you lose to the Chargers, and by the way, that game was in San Francisco. And
okay.
so you lose that one, and then you lose to the Chargers, 2 road games back to back, and then you go into a bye week. Oh my God, that would be miserable. That's very deflating. And I think this win, I mean, think about the difference between losing 2 in a row, going into a bye week. You've almost gone a month without winning by the time you have gone a month without winning by the time you play again. So that versus getting this win, to me, could have been the, you know, game-altering play. That was the season-altering win for the Dallas Cowboys. 1 sec.
I like where you're going there, Kyle. Season-altering, yes. 4-2 for the Cowboys looks a lot better than 3-3. And this is coming from a Bears fan who's 1-5 right now and was looking for a 2-4 record to keep the season alive. So for the Dallas Cowboys, 4-2, going into a bye week, very, very nice, because you can not only can they build off what they did against the Chargers, but they can look at that San Francisco game and really look at what happened there, right? And we're going to talk about it in our episode right after this instant reaction show, but we're going to talk about it more into the episode about what maybe San Francisco lacks when it comes to that offense, and maybe that was the X factor, talking about you know, what made the Dallas Cowboys lose that game against the 49ers. Again, they're going to go into the bye week with a win, 4-2, much better than 3-3, and the Chargers go to what, 2-3 right now?
Yep, the Chargers now with a losing record.
Yeah, so rough time for the Chargers. Or actually, no. Yeah, 2-3, 5 games. The week 6 they had a bye already. 2-3. Coming off a bye week, man, like, this is rough, because this was, just like everybody says, this was the Chargers pulling a Charger and losing at the end there. Credit to the defense, and Herbert really didn't have any run game to begin with. So this was kind of something we said about the Dallas defense in the red zone, bending but not breaking. But Herbert broke at the end with all that pressure from that defense, man. He had to throw the ball. He knew it was a 3rd and whatever it was after the penalty. He knew he had to get that ball in the air to somebody. Tried to make a play. Tried to make something happen. Ended up being an interception, but that's all Herbert could do, man. What else do you want him to do, right? No run game, and that's it. That's all he had.
Do you think Herbert is at a point in his career where if he doesn't start winning, that he's not going to be considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league?
Yeah, I do. No, well, hold on. One of the best quarterbacks in the league, yes. A consistent quarterback like Phillip Rivers, former Chargers quarterback, he'll probably be that. He probably will be that if he doesn't win any playoff games, doesn't even sniff a Super Bowl. He could have all the talent in the world, and they've got a lot of talent on that offense, and this defense looks great. But, oh my God. Like, if you can't win games, Herbert, especially in the playoffs, you may as well just be a string of successful, I don't know, second-rate coffee shops. Like, you're no Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like, you're no
Yeah.
Starbucks, but you're like, I don't know, just like a regular, maybe you have 20 stores in one state. That's not great. That's not great.
Yeah, I think he has no playoff wins, and they're trying to see what they can do with Kellen Moore. I think you want to look, if you're playing a team that can hold their opponents to 3 to 6 to 16 points, it's not so bad that
Mm-hmm.
the production wasn't that bad. And so far the number 2 team in yards per game. And so Kellen Moore is what he's doing is everything seems right from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, this Cowboys defense just showed up and played a really good game of football. So I don't want to overreact and be like, oh yeah, the Chargers are done. The Chargers will probably be in the playoffs. That's just the facts. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But I do think if you're Kellen Moore, you really wanted to get that win, and it kind of sucks that you know Dad won.
Yeah, that's true. And Staley is a head coach. You want this win against the Cowboys coming off a bye week to show that, you know, your 2-2 record coming into this game isn't, it's not nothing. You're trying to, because Staley is on the hot seat this entire season, whether he wins or whether he loses. Like, it depends how he wins and how he loses, that he's going to be on the hot seat. So Staley wanted this win too, but unfortunately, again, him and Kellen Moore lose to Dad, and that's how it goes.
Yep. So we're about to. You got anything else on this one?
Nope, I am good. We can move on from the instant reactions and go into our episode if you're good, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and I see Tyler, I see you and Bill in the chat, but I want to say what's up. But we're gonna go right into our episode. Kyle, I will see you in just a bit.
All right, brother. See ya.
See ya.